Where you tuned in around the world this morning. Folks tuning in from all over the place, from the land down under, in Montenegro, in the UK, the US, around the African continent, from Zimbabwe to Zambia to South Africa to Tanzania, Uganda, here in Kenya, looking into the West, where our proverb is from this morning, all around the world. This is the Situation Room, and we're having these conversations because it affects us in the little world in which you operate in, and in the world where the rest of the world actually does. Karibuni sana, and thank you for being with us this morning. We're gonna get all right, and maybe that's what you need to be powered up as we go into Game Plan 2027, because it's a segment that we've been looking into, and we'll be looking to it weekly, and to say that where are we going with this? And of course, we're having the united opposition conversation with policy and governance expert Professor Alfred Omenya. Good morning again.
Good morning, Ndu.
How are you,
Dennis? I'm very well.
Yeah.
Under the circumstances.
Oh, wow.
In Kenya, you have to qualify.
Yeah. How you are? Well,
otherwise, people may think that you're an alien.
Is that a good place to be?
Where, Mars? Or
No, but you have to qualify. How you are.
Wow. I think perhaps we'll find the answer to that by the time this conversation is over. But we're looking at strengthening the opposition, and if there is a need to actually do so. Right. We talk about strengthening the opposition, but hang on a minute. Everybody's talking about unification of the opposition, strengthening the opposition. Well, maybe we can flip it and ask, does it need to happen? But before we do that, there's a country which, because of how you travel, Prof, it's possible that you may have been there. But I'll allow Dennis to let you know what that is.
So this country has something called Bijago's Archipelago, because it has 80 islands.
Yes.
That makes it.
Right.
The capital is Bissau. The country is Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah, Guinea-Bissau.
See? Yes. And you think of visiting the place when you are next to Dunga Beach, you'll see hippos, right?
Yes.
And everyone thinks hippos just do fresh water, but in Guinea-Bissau, their hippos swim in salt water. So when you visit, that is their version of Big Five.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So that's good tourism.
Right.
But let's go
Not Kenyans showing off with their wildlife.
Oh, yes. Yeah, but let's go to the proverb. The man who borrows trousers should not run. The man who borrows trousers should not run. How would you interpret it?
The man who borrows trousers should not run.
Yeah.
Actually, it is. Before I mention the proverb, I think I need to partner with the Guinea-Bissau people, because at some point I made a statement that almost got me kicked out of African Union.
Yeah.
Oh no!
And the statement was very simple: that you do not borrow for your wife's panties.
Oh,
You buy them yourself. I was then referring to the Chinese building, the African Union, the African Union Center. Yeah, because that we should do ourselves.
Professor, where did
But now, back to the proverb. I think, honestly speaking, I think anybody, even literally, anybody who borrows trousers should not really run, because a borrowed trouser may be ill-fitting. So, both ways, it could be too big, it might drop off.
yes.
It could be too small, it might tear. There are very many things, and it might even make people think that you have no running prowess. Yeah, because you'll be trying to control the running so that neither of those things actually happen. And basically just tells us that number one, if we borrow, we should always be of indifferent behavior. We should not be behaving like like the owners of the trousers. Let me put it that way. And of course, in Kenya, if you coming back to Kenya, applying it in Kenya, we have a very big budget. We're the biggest economy in the region, but we are going to borrow 20% of it. And we are behaving like it's our money. We should not run. We should be very humble. We should tell people this is a borrowed trouser and it's going to go back.
Exactly. You have to return the trouser.
And we should try to get our own trousers so that we can enjoy the running.
Or maybe we should buy those belts with endless holes so that it can fit.
Oh my.
Well said,
Yeah. Well said. So, oh God.
I like that proverb.
I know, I do. I liked it too. When we're talking about the united opposition, Prof, if there is one, let's just talk about the united and not qualify it with an adjective. In this case, because it would appear as though maybe it's not so united at the moment.
Right.
But everybody has prescribed, we must come together. The only way to then be able to beat your opponent is that you must all come together in defense.
Right.
Or in this case, the best form of defense is attack, where we all come together in one space. But is it necessary to have a united opposition?
I don't really think so.
Okay.
I don't think we need a united opposition. I think we need an opposition.
Okay.
And that is one thing that Kenya has been suffering from for quite some time. That we expected that those who come second in election would then be the minority, if you can call it that way. I was told that there's nothing like opposition in Kenya, but I insist there is opposition in Kenya. It's just the name. You know, it's like if today we decided to name the lions Johnny the dog, we can't come and say that there are no more lions in Kenya. It's just the name. So I insist that minority, majority, those are names. But we have the ruling party and the opposition. And it's important that we have the opposition because those are the ones that keep government in check. From where I am, where I sit, I'm pretty happy that we have a semblance of opposition. For all manner of reasons. Ironically, they are not the ones who should have been in the opposition because they are not the minority. We have a splinter group from UDA that is now controlling central Kenya, ran largely by Rigathi Gachagua. They're doing what the opposition is expected to do. Sort of them. Almost doing what the opposition is expected to do, highlighting some of these government's misbehaviors as exactly and keeping the government on its toes. We also have the splinter group from ODM. I don't know who split from whom, but we have the Linda Mwananchi group. They're also providing some sort of opposition. Of course, we have Kalonzo Musyoka and the Wiper. Yeah, so from where I sit, and in fact, I think the media is also starting to come back and play their role, the rightful role, in terms of highlighting some of these misdeeds of government. So from where I sit, I think that's a good thing, that whether government takes action or not, all these bad behavior of government, poor governance, sabotaging the rule of law, corruption, and so on is being highlighted every day. In fact, I don't think there's any day that I'm just looking at the newspapers. That is a Danny deal. I don't think there's any day that we don't see the misdeeds of government being highlighted, and that's important for us for the governance of our nation. Of course. I think the need for the united opposition, as I was saying, is a yes or no, really. Yeah, because this is happening in a haphazard and in a way that is not very coordinated and organized. And I'm not talking about Ruto must go. That one, it doesn't really matter as long as different people are shouting. You can always think that is some sort of a free jazz. If not, it's not opera. Really. Yeah, but you can call it African jazz.
Something.
Everybody plays the things. Somebody hits the drums, otherwise is hitting sufurias and so on, and some music comes out. Anyway, I think we still need, as a country, to have coordinated opposition. A good example is the finance bill that is now being discussed in Parliament. What you see, you don't really hear a coordinated voice providing alternative to what is being provided. I know the Wiper team with Kalonzo did actually do some document, but on the other hand, I think such a document would have benefited a lot more if there was rigor from all these different people who are, spotlighting government. It would have had a lot more depth. In fact, I think for me, when I looked at it, the issue was not even the document. The issue was more the structure and the issues that, just coming and shifting figures that government has proposed is really not how to provide an alternative to government. Alternative must be alternative from first principles. And that requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of coordination. It requires resources and so on. So yes, we do really need to have a united opposition, but not just to get through to home. we need to have it as a fundamental pillar of governance in our country. Of course, even taking that a little bit further, and that really is to the opposition, whether united or not. There is actually a united opposition. But it's not the one I'm calling in terms of the opposition unity. But by having a united opposition, I mean almost all the parties in the opposition, getting together. Yeah, but what I actually wanted to say there was that you see, it is clear that the agenda, of course, for the opposition is always to get power.
Yeah. Yes.
And it makes sense that the starting point of their conversation must always be to remove the current government. That is okay.
Yeah.
That is in order. But then I think we want to hear a little bit more from them, and this is also very important in light of the demographics that of the voter. We have a significant group of voters that are now quite well educated. The Kibaki free education kids, the Gen Zs. In fact, those are the Gen Zs. Most of them hold university degrees. Many are jobless. They're a very sophisticated group of voters. Of course, you have the middle class and so on, regardless of what people think about them. Yes, I think there's really a need to go slightly beyond Ruto must go and start not just telling us why Ruto must go. I think many Kenyans have their own reasons for wanting Ruto to go or to stay. But I've never really met people wanting to say. But
slide that in there. Okay.
But I know there are people who really want Ruto to stay still, and they have their own reasons. So I don't really think the position needs to belabor that much. I think the position now needs to start looking at it, looking at themselves as the alternative government.
Yep.
To start saying, to start crafting the message.
Yeah.
When we get in, this is what we shall do on governance, this is what we shall do on fuel, on energy, this is what we shall do on food security, this is what we shall do on these different areas. This is how we want this country governed, all the way from the presidency to the MCAs down there.
Yeah, Prof, when you look at the opposition as a principle of democracy, it is there to ensure that excesses, that justice is dispensed and that rule of law is actually held.
Correct.
But you look at the opposition, opposition that Kenya has, and even immediately after 2022, it is opposition who are majority in the House.
Exactly.
But you find ourselves where then personal preferences and many say it's greed and just sheer lack of principles that has killed the principle that puts opposition as key and central in perpetuating democracy in the country.
Correct.
So then here we speak to individuals who, despite having lost to form government, but you are here, that you are able to dispense your duties, but you're not seeing that happen, because even the united opposition today, some of them were in government.
Exactly.
They only became opposition after impeachment and after going separate with the president. So in terms of inculcating the spirit of opposition into our politics in the country, what must we do? Or is it a question of individuals who get there have other reasons why they want to get to power?
Yeah, I think the problem we have in this country is that majority of people don't like their jobs. They like other people's jobs. You get elected into the position. That's a job. It's a full-time job description. And you're being paid. Minority do actually earn salaries for that particular position. But immediately they get in there, what you start seeing is them hang around State House to start negotiating. I don't know for what. They say they're negotiating for development, while they do actually have a direct role and spaces, both in the Constitution and in law and in the House, to execute their mandate. And vice versa, that those who then are elected into government, right from the word go, if they see that the spaces for eating, basically spaces for corruption and looting, are actually being sealed, they quickly jump out and start opposing government. So you know, we have this of course, the third bit is the government itself going out to basically co-opt these guys, you know. So what we don't look at is the total destruction of institutions that happens within that particular scenario. So even as we're talking now, you cannot tell. You can't tell, is this guy in the opposition or is he in government?
Yeah.
In fact, it is sad. The only people I'm sure about that are in government are Kalenjins. It is sad. But that's just what it is.
What does that mean, Prof?
It is even sad that that's coming from me.
Yeah.
This is an issue that we know that there's one ethnic group that still seem to be together with the president. The rest, we are not sure. We are not sure whether these guys are in or they are out.
And are you saying that they're together because, Prof?
Yeah, because
we have to qualify that. Because are you saying that they're together with him because of where they're from?
I see guys in the so-called United Opposition rallies that are actually in government. That they're in UDA. That's the ruling party. You know, especially the whole of Central Kenya here.
What does that mean?
And vice versa.
Okay, sorry.
I see guys.
When you say that you see guys who are in the United Opposition, who are in UDA, what does that mean? That party affiliation, party membership?
Party affiliation, party membership, they are elected on UDA. They're actually UDA members of parliament. They
could be making a move here. We heard, Erongo Kangata the other day said very clearly that I'm going to run again, but I'm not going to do on a UDA ticket. And then he's moved over to the other side.
Yes, well,
paperwork maybe has not been done, but they've moved.
But that is exactly my point. That people move, and they move almost immediately, and while we actually still expect them to be in government because they are party one, and vice versa. We are people now, of course, in government formally. Of course, we don't even need to intellectualize it. We have the ODM guys who joined government. ODM was never part of government. In fact, there were the Azimio that actually were meant to have been minority, and they were there. And we talk about this government national unity. I don't even know where things like those come from. We don't have such creatures in our constitution. Yeah. So in a way, everybody is assaulting good principles of good governance, starting with the president himself by having all these opposition people in government. He won and he was to form government with these people. You know, if he's defeated, he should resign and we actually get into elections. Yeah, but you have this mongoloid. In fact, the same President Ruto himself referred to this in Uru's time as mongoloid government. You cannot tell exactly what it is. The head is different from the tail, and so these things actually affect good governance in the sense that the different entities and parts of government, number one, don't even have distinct identity, and then people cannot undertake their role. The truth of the matter, Ndu, as you're saying, you can imagine I'm in government, and our president really started that bad behavior when he was in Jubilee and he was campaigning. We spent 5 years bashing Jubilee and campaigning on UD and so on. We can't continue like this. In fact, I think if members of parliament are serious about governance in this country, we should actually have a situation where if you disagree with the principles of your party and start, and by the way, that law is even there incidentally, and start supporting principles of other parties, then you should actually immediately lose your position in this party. But of course, it is that thing where it doesn't really matter. People are not bothered about their work. People are not bothered about their responsibilities. People are not bothered about the mandates that they actually have. What is important, what is very, very important is development.
Does it confuse Kenyans that if you do have an opposition, I mean, we heard the likes of Martha Karua saying that she will not be a running mate to anybody.
Right.
And she's made that very clear that she wants to be the president. For all intents and purposes, from all indicators, Rigathi Gachagua seems like he wants to be president. Kalonzo Musyoka just wrote a book, released his book, and he's also said he wants to be president.
Right.
Matiang'i wants to be president. Everybody, it's like the latest, thing in town. Everybody wants to be president, but then there's a united opposition, and everybody wants to come together to remove the incumbent. I mean, I am confused. I'm not quite sure. How is that supposed to look to Kenyans who are being told every day, we're inundating Kenyans with this message: you must to take control, you must vote, the change is, power is, all these inspirational messages, the power is with you to make the change you can. But then in the buffet, you have 7 different kinds of rice. Which one are you taking?
No, you see, I think one of the biggest problems, and you're starting to allude to it. Many Kenyans don't ask that. Okay, fine. Why should this person actually be president? Why should we vote the person? To be president? As it is, the presidency is used in Kenya as a negotiating tool. The only person who hasn't used it to negotiate, maybe yes, is Wajakoya. But
right, Wajakoya wants to be president.
Yes, in fact, I wanted to mention him.
Yeah,
so that,
sorry, Jimmy Wanjigi wants to be president as well.
Yes,
Boniface Mwangi wants to be president. Yeah.
So you see, I mean, I think it's okay. It's okay for people to aspire for that particular position. But I think for me, what is more important is, why do you really want to be president? And if you look at all these guys, all of them actually, if you listen to them carefully, they want to be president because Ruto must go.
Okay.
They really do not want to be president because
they want to do something for the country.
Exactly, because it's not a positive agenda. It is a negation. It's a negative agenda. It's because this person is bad, then you should elect me.
Oh, right. Yeah. So it's like the people who vote for, I don't necessarily want Ndu to be president.
Exactly.
I just don't want Alfred to.
Exactly. And you see, honestly, that is my frustration with the so-called united opposition. All of them, by the way. You see, even if you listen to Kalonzo hardly sells his credentials, despite the fact that he has been deputy president in the country and maybe one of the longest serving politicians and so on, which I think worked for him, despite the fact that he's been close to how government is being run and so on. You don't really hear him, explaining what you do differently when he's president. Yeah. If you listen to Gachagua, same story. If you listen to Babu Owino, same story. If you listen to Matiang'i, same story. So it's okay. The other day I was telling guys that when South Africa were playing Colombia,
Mexico.
Yeah. When South Africa was playing Mexico, I was telling people, and having spent a lot of time in South Africa, I was telling guys, there's enough hate inside South Africa to serve them. Please, let's not hate them. Let's love Mexico instead.
I get what you mean.
Love is an alternative.
Yes.
let's have positive vibes. That's what I'm telling Kenyans. Let's love our presidential candidates. There's enough hate in this country for Ruto. We don't need to add more, and there's no value we're going to get out of that. So my point is that these guys in the position who actually want to take this country forward. My simple message, and it doesn't matter whether it's my friend Boniface Mwangi or whoever. Any position you go for on earth, any position. You decide to get married, that's a position. You decide to get a job, that's a position. You decide to plow your shamba, that's any position you take in this world comes with responsibilities. Yes. And you need to tell us, if you're going to till a garden, you need to tell us how you're going to till it differently so that we can give it to you.
Some of the people are telling you how they're going to till it. As late as yesterday, Jimmy Wanjigi came out very clearly. One thing that you got to give the man credit, because over time he has been very clear about what the agenda is. That odious debt is an issue.
Yes.
Debt, Kenya is stifling debt, and Kenya is choking under the debt. So what did he say that he would do very clearly?
Yes.
That this is the thing. Kenya is paying too much money in debt that it doesn't actually owe. That we need to stop paying that debt, take that money, put it into the economy and grow it. He came out yesterday and said he would abolish VAT. He would remove VAT. So he's been clear about what his agenda is.
Let me tell you.
Rigathi Gachagua gave an alternate budget the other day.
Let me tell you. No, but the two issues, and we have to give credit where it's due anyway. Yeah. Of all these guys, incidentally, the one whom we think, to give Jimmy credit, the one whom we think we have an idea what they'll do if they got into power is Jimmy. Yeah. And to some degree, of course, it's not running is Okiya Mtata. Because we know clearly what these guys are against. Jimmy, of course, largely odious debt issues and so on. He's been very, very strong on that. Okiya Omtata, of course, odious debt itself, but not as far as he hasn't pushed it as much as Jimmy has, but he has pushed it to a very good extent. And of course, corruption. Those are pretty clear. My issue with our friend Rigathi and Kalonzo with their alternative budget. I think I already mentioned that that's not what I expect from the opposition.
Okay.
That I expect arguments like those that are coming from Jimmy, to be reflected in the budget. They're transformational, if you can look at them that way. It is not business as usual. It's not saying this is what government is doing, but we are, we shall tweak this, we shall tweak this, we shall remove this, we shall spend more in this and that. Because basically that's just a government budget. And that's what all these economists in government do. By the way, that's all they do. They look at what government spent on last year, they look at what might bring in problems, they shift figures here and there, and so on. They put VAT here, they remove, they put this here, and so on and so forth, until the point where they think that, the Wananchi will not have an idea what they're up to, and then the thing passes. So basically, what I'm talking about, this is not to say that the opposition do not have ideas. No. But this hasn't got. And Jimmy is an excellent example. This hasn't gotten to political messaging, if I can put it that way. We want to see a lot more of this and this type of discourses becoming part and parcel of the opposition's, normal messaging. And it doesn't matter to me who runs. I think the constitution allows that, and we have systems that will clean up whether we end up with 10 guys running or not. That's neither here nor there. But for me the issue is still that people who run should not just waste our time, honestly. People who run should seriously think about these things, and they should think quite seriously about the possibility that if the gods decide to give them that particular position, they'll have a job to do. We don't want this situation where you become president and then you spend your time celebrating, and in no time the country is headed south. And we see that in all these different positions where guys run around and then, for some reason they win the positions. And then what follows after that is just terrible confusion. And not just at the level of the presidency, that is even at the level of governors, actually. And you can see, I'll not mention names, but let me mention, because this is positive. If you listen to people like Irungu, Kangata, if you listen to characters like those, you listen to guys like Anyang' Nyong'o and so on, these guys were ready to govern. They were not just campaigning. They knew that there's a possibility of winning, and that would come with very, very clear responsibilities and so on. The other one is out, and I'm very whatever. The Laikipia one is out now. In fact, it's in government.
The current chairman of the KRA.
Exactly, the current chairman of KRA.
Yeah.
We still have breath of fresh air. Those are guys who, if you listen to, they do have ideas. They're saying, fine, I mean, if you get me back to my position, yes, I'm looking at a county as a unit of economic development and empowerment. I'm looking at industries growing. I'm looking at these bonds for fundraising and stuff like that. Yeah. So this is not being too hard on the opposition. What you're saying, and remember, the opposition don't just speak in rallies.
Yep.
They also come and speak in these forums like this. They also write in the newspapers. They also do many things and so on. So yes, they can argue that in the rallies, we'll only sing Ruto must go. But surely when you're meeting Omenya, I don't need you to sing for me Ruto must go.
You get it, yeah.
Really, I'm past that stage.
Yeah.
I need to hear a little bit more. And to me, this is a challenge to the opposition, that they should be preparing themselves psychologically to rule in whatever format. And what that means is that then they must be taking very, very clear positions on fundamental things that ail this country. Like we mentioned, debt is part of it, whether odious or normal. Right.
I mean, Prof, when you look at opposition, as you speak at the moment, there is what Kenyans perceive to be opposition that we see, where it is rallies every other day.
Right.
Ruto must go. We will change this once we get in.
Right.
But we equally must look at that united opposition as individuals who as well sit in these houses where proper opposition ought to take place in terms of checking government excesses and ensuring that the law is pretty much just respected. But what many, or rather what we are seeing is we have Ruto must go rallies, fine, but we are not seeing, say, a bad law being opposed with so much vehement in the House where change would occur. Because you have to give credit. One Ndindi Nyoro, you hear him speak, but you'll equally see him push that on the floor of the House. If the opposition, as is at the moment with members of Parliament or Senate who are there and bringing this message back to the House, would you reckon that Kenyans would see their metal, what they're made of, and the agenda that they are pushing, and if at all it resonates to Kenya? Where absence of that, then all you're seeing is just rallies and chants.
Dennis, I need like 1 billion Kenya shillings urgently, because I have a job to do. I think we need to we need to flush out fake opposition people, and you know, because you see what you've said is spot on. We have also in the opposition, we have a lot of fakes. We have a lot of fake opposition people, and they sit in the House, they sit in Senate, they are governors in this country. They're part of the rot, and then they appear in rallies, you know, shouting like there's no whatever. Because we need some consistency. That is how we'll know the frauds, and that's what I'm telling Kenyans. All these guys who are shouting to you, there, Ruto must go. Audit them. And by the way, I'm not just talking about. We also have the positives, by the way. That's why the audit is important. There are guys who are associated with government who are doing a relatively good job. I'll single out somebody like Dr. Nyikal. If you check his track record and his positions and so on, he's an MP who's very friendly to government. As you mentioned, if you do this audit, people like Ndindi Nyoro will actually pass. Regardless, they would pass, regardless of whether they used to be in government before. Because these guys in the House, you can tell what they actually said, the positions they took on every bill, whatever they opposed, whether they won, or they didn't win. The other one who's very quiet and is in the position there is Karoli Omondi. Same thing. You can check what Karoli said on every single bill that was in Parliament. And that's what I'm talking about, flashing out these fakes. Because these fakes are going to win elections as the opposition. And we'll end up with the same problem we have. Because these same fakes are the ones that are actually, the money that is being looted in this country is being used to fund them. And they're part of the looting, actually. These guys sit in Senate and the oversight counties. And you cannot tell anything that they've ever said about those same counties, the oversight, and they tell you Ruto must go. These are the same characters who are, even when they're in government, they're doing nothing. They're just.
So what I'm hearing you say, that if you see things, let's take from the oversight position, for example, as a senator, and that you see things going, because my mind goes back to the Senate committee that was made up of Onyonka and Khalwale and Muma, and the chair, I think it was Abdirazik, I'm not sure. But they went to Kakamega to look at this monstrosity that is soon to be, God willing, knock on wood, a level 6 hospital in Kakamega. And Khalwale was almost crying. Because whatever was happening, the money that they saw passing through was crazy. That this hospital had not been completed. I mean, we were all audience to that. So what I hear you saying, and stop me if I'm wrong. And
Onyonka is another one.
What I hear you saying,
those are guys who are doing the work outside there,
the work is being done, right? But if it's beyond that, that you should be able to flag it out and die on that cross and say,
this is
until this is fixed, we cannot continue.
Exactly.
Is this what you're saying? So if people are sitting, for example, in Senate, regardless of whatever side you're on, and seeing these things happening on a daily basis and you don't speak about it, you're complicit.
Exactly. And that's exactly what you're saying, that the spaces of opposition are there. And the people have occupied those spaces. And they're being paid by taxpayers' money. whether we call them opposition or we call them whether they're just doing general oversight of the House, as in Senate. You're a senator for a county for a particular reason. You cannot just wake up one day and now you want to become president, and the job we gave you really you did not do. And this is what I say. And this is not too much to ask for. In fact, I think as governors are giving the state of counties reports, senators overall, you as a senator of a county, you must also come in and say, yes, as a senate oversighting this particular, oversighting counties generally, these are the issues I have with my county. Why are senators, yes, they oversight collectively, but why are senators picked per county? Because we also need some oversight at that county level. It's only that oversight is done collectively through Senate. I expect Oburu Odinga to tell us exactly what's happening in Siaya. Well, I expect Sifuna. Oburu now, of course, he has national issues and there are also age issues and so on, so we can excuse him. But I expect people like...
Can we though?
I expect people like Sifuna to tell us what's happening in Nairobi.
I mean, you have to understand that he's one of those ever-resident folks on the committees whereby they are pushing people...
But that is true. That is very, very true.
Okay.
But those are my expectations. People like Onyonka, I mean, I don't think Onyonka is just a noisemaker. I think those are guys who are doing a very good job, in terms of their oversight role and getting outside there on these particular issues and so on. Yeah, because you see, if you don't do that and things are going wrong, for me outside here, and every voter, we come to that particular situation where we're saying these people are just the same, by the way. Yeah, and that is a sort of vibe that Kenyans have outside here. A lot of this, when they listen to United Opposition or these are the opposition people, or they listen to the New Wave, a lot of guys are like, yeah, these people are just the same, and it goes to what Aseta was talking about a little bit earlier, that we do have actual spaces to highlight this. Yes, a bit of that is happening, but we could actually have a lot more happening in those particular spaces in terms of taking a stance and so on. And remember, the same politicians told us that those houses oversight collectively as a house, so majority is neither here nor there. So they do have a direct responsibility to oversight, whether they're in government or not. So they cannot come and tell us, as we're in government, that's partly why we did not highlight these things. No, even the ones in government have exactly the same opportunity in terms of that overall oversight to point out things which are wrong in this country. Yeah.
I mean, there is, where we find ourselves today as a country is we have government, we have those who ought to be opposition, now themselves are in government, we don't know where it is they are. We have those who are in government and are now in opposition. Right. Confusion is there. But then again, there is the opposition from Kenyans who are speaking.
Correct.
Where Kenyans themselves have said, we have seen how that house is formed, and we are the ones who will oppose if they fail to do that.
Right.
And with that, then, would you reckon that if Mwananchi forms the agenda on the kind of opposition they want, and they translate that to electing people in office who will stick by the rules, who will stick by the roles that they ought to play, then we will see change perhaps in the next government that is formed. That it is Mwananchi who's forming the agenda and selling it out there on what kind of governance they want to see.
Next might be too soon. But definitely, I think that is where we should actually be moving to, and I think we should really be pushing. We should be in the era of I would call it honest politicians.
Yes.
Honest not necessarily because they're totally clean, but honest in terms of the agenda they're pushing, where it is clear that it's not some funny guys who have given them money, and then that becomes priority for Parliament, but it's their people who are saying, no, we have this issue and we have this issue and we have this issue. How can this be sorted out? Some are developmental issues, some are issues that require governance issues, others are policy issues and so on. I think I'm really convinced that we are actually in that era. Myself, I'm trying to convince a few of my friends who are getting into politics that it's possible don't just go and whatever. I don't know whether the experiment will work, but I'm telling them, look here, you look at yourself as a politician, as the person who creates platform for people to bring in their issues, and then you decipher them, and then you push for them, and you come back as a modus operandi. Where you actually listen, and even where you have difficulties, and this is quite doable, because during elections anyway, this fellows meet, as opposed to the traditional politician who. I'll do this for you. I'll do this for you. I'll do this for you. I'll build a road. I'll build an hospital. I'll take you to the moon. I'll take your children to China. You'll become Singapore. We're
Yes.
not. We want you to listen to us. Put differently, this particular politician who listens, you may not be able to do everything. Politicians are not gods.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean
Even
that
if they think they are.
It doesn't mean that exactly that if you listen to everything that the Wananchi has put, that you'll be able to do them. No.
Yeah.
The point of listening is so that eventually the agenda you're pushing is not yours. It is actually the people you represent, because in its purest form, that is actually your role. It is to pick up these issues and say, fine, the priority issues for my people, for people in my region, is 1, 2, 3, 4 things.
Prof,
and it's possible.
Yeah, Prof,
Yeah.
I want to look at the opposition that we see now coming from Kenyans.
Right.
Would it be that Kenyans see civil disobedience, demonstration, protest every other day because they have an agenda?
Right.
They don't know where to take it.
Exactly.
Because when you look at the opposition that does lie in the house, you don't know who is the opposition.
Correct.
So the only other option that Wananchi has is to be on the streets every other day. But if Wananchi had a clear-cut opposition where they know if we have something we're opposing, we know where to go to,
these are the guys.
and these guys will take it and run with it. Perhaps we'll see a shift in how things run.
In fact, and again, this is where I would advise the president that it is in his interest. It is in his interest to have a strong opposition, a strong and a formal opposition. Of course, it will give you headache, but on the other hand, and I think you even knows it to some degree, that number one, you actually have a group that you can discuss your agenda with.
Yeah.
You know who's opposing you and why and what the issues actually are. And like you're saying, for the Mwananchi, it also becomes clear that I know if I've got issues with government and government ideas and government policies, then I'll channel them this way. If I've got issues against the government and against the government ideas or alternatives to what government is providing, then I'll channel them this way. That way, then, of course, we end up with a more civil society, as it actually were. That I don't need to go and make a fool of myself and risk my life and limb on the road, while I can actually achieve the same, through on the table, directly through the formal systems. So it is in our interest as a country to ensure that the opposition is properly institutionalized. I don't want to make this statement because I know it's a sensitive statement.
I hear you're going to make it anyway.
Yes, but I hope the handshake era is finished, so that we can actually be having proper opposition. You basically lose elections. You take your seats as minority in all the houses, coming all the way from the counties to national government, and you hold government to account. This whole idea that we shake hands and then suddenly I lose my identity and we have no idea who's doing what in the country has been bad for our governance actually, and must actually call it out. But like we're saying, as Wananchi, we have issues. We have, and some of those issues are very basic. Dennis, my personal issue in this country is just one. Just my own. One of the things that's most important for me in this country, as Omenya, has been value for money for infrastructure projects. And I opposed the SGR specifically for that. And at the SGR documents, I was opposed the expressway exactly for that. These are totally inflated infrastructure. Very Ronnie thing. Same thing. I mean, it was inflated. The Danny one we were talking about, from 200 billion to 375 billion. Same infrastructure. But then, you see, for me, this is an issue, but we need a space where we can process this. That are we getting value for money for government infrastructure projects? That's just one simple, clear issue. that as a citizen Omenya, I would be happy to have processed. Of course, it will not be processed through the government side, because we know where this money is going. Yeah. It is actually going into people's pockets. Mm-hmm. In this country, we no longer talk about corruption because it's the norm. And we want, what you're actually saying is that, yes, we're paying taxes, but we want value for money. There are many things that many different people want. Yeah. But you see, I'm just giving that as an example. We were talking about Odia's death the other day. Today, actually. Yeah. And it is a clear agenda. And as Dennis is saying, where do we process this? Now do I go and sit down with Jimmy? But I'm sitting down with him as who? I'll feel like I'm just disturbing this guy because I didn't vote him. He's not occupying any particular position. Of course, he has his party. Yeah, but it will even be better if we could process these things through the formal opposition and through the formal minorities in all these houses, be they environmental issues, be they at local level, be they development control issues, be they issues of like we're saying just now a short while ago, be they issues of national budgets and where those things are going and so on.
Taking all those things into consideration,
right,
Prof, do you think that with the status quo, I mean, you've mentioned corruption, you've talked about infrastructure that's been bungled. Is there need for change in Kenya's governance at the moment? From your point of view, things going off the mark in terms of development, in terms of governance, in terms of leadership? Because if the opposition is not together, it seems as though you're asking for an opposition that is aware of what they're doing together, so that in the event they take over leadership, right?
Correct.
But does that mean that from your point of view that leadership and governance in the country has tanked?
Totally. Okay. It totally is in shambles. I mean, if at the power and the magic, I would actually explode the current governance systems and just break it into smithereens and let it disappear outside there. And I think a better thing we mentioned, Mars, would be to export all the current guys in the governance space to Mars, so that they stay there forever, and we actually start from scratch. This country needs a reset. For me, the way I always look at things is that you can look at things in two ways. I'm both a pragmatist and an idealist at the same time. Mm-hmm. I think when you're going when you're working on ambition, and I always even tell students that, don't be economical with your ambitions. Be economical with reality. For your ambition, whatever you aspire to do, just aspire. I mean, what does it actually cost you? Because it's through this idealism that then we are able to create for ourselves the platonic state, the ideal state that we are aspiring to. Yeah. But we know that ideal state is not possible. So when we come to sit down, we'll be saying, that's a Singapore we wanted to go to. That's a Canaan using political whatever. Yeah. However, what is possible is a new Mathare. In a new Mathare might. It will not be like Singapore, but it won't have flowing sewer.
Right. Or it would have running water.
Yeah. It would have running water.
Right.
It will have. You'll see children play in New Mathare.
It will have dignity.
It will have dignity. So you see, what we're doing is that we're using that ideal situation to come and get the pragmatic sort of situation. But we're now in a country where we've sort of lost the innocence to dream. The opposition can no longer tell us the Kenya we desire and the Kenya we actually want, because it has nothing to do with what we have now. Even what Ruto is doing is not the Kenya we want, really. I mean, it's not the Kenya I dream of. And what the opposition is doing, is the same. So we need dreamers again. We need people who can tell us, that all these things are actually possible. And we also need people who tell us that although all these things are possible, it's like heaven. It is actually, no, it's not like heaven. It's like New Jerusalem. It's like when Jesus returns. Yeah. You see, Jesus was going to return soon. And some people thought it was a matter of weeks. of course, it's 2,000 years, and we still believe as Christians, we still believe Jesus is coming back. So we still need that. If you immediately remove that, you remove the idea of heaven, you remove the idea of Jesus turning, then all those guys who are eating chai and mandazi in the evenings and bring up children with these ethics, they'll give up.
And we don't want people to give up.
We don't want people to give up. So we must still keep the big vision of a new Kenya, not Jerusalem.
A new Mathare. We'll start with Mathare.
With a new Mathare, we must still keep that, and then at the same time say, fine guys, we will not get to Mathare, to the new Mathare next week.
There you go.
It is something, this week we fix the sewer.
Next week we maybe put some taps in.
Next week we put in taps. Week 3 we have kids playing football in claimed spaces. And so on and so forth.
One step at a time.
And at some point you look back and you say, what happened to the old Mathare?
And so what you need is folks that are going to actually come and do that.
Biblically, you'll be saying, behold, everything has become new.
He's come with a pinch of pragmatism and optimism this morning. Professor Alfred Omenya, thank you for being here with us this morning. To them, to be able to say, look, get your ducks in a row, cross your T's, dot your I's, and let's move a step at a time to get where we're going. Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure, dude.
Conversations continue.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.